In your paint art by chart kits, you might encounter paint that looks like this, all clumpy. And though others may not look the same, this doesn't necessarily mean that this is all dried up. So all you have to do is just make sure that your brush is constantly new and re-wetted so that you can pick up the freshest paint. So for example, if you try to use this now on this section, it's going to be a little bit difficult to shape the brush to the sections you want to use them on because there's already dried up paint on the tip of the brush. So all you have to do is to simply rinse this and then dab the excess water on tissue and then repeat the process from the beginning. So there you go. And you'll discover that it will apply the paint smoothly once again. So it's not dried up paint. You just need to keep rinsing your brush to remove the excess paint so that you have a fresh coat after about perhaps every 2 or 3 dips onto the tub. So I'll be making some definitions on the cat's face, basically adding more detail to the eyes, as well as adding the nose and also his mouth. So to do that, I'm just going to refer to the image by STE-ANNE MERMAID, and I will do that manually. So let's start with this color, number 10. This is going to be for this other part of sort of its face. It looks like an eyebrow, but of course cats don't have eyebrows. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of that. And then we will make a rough sketch of the nose and the mouth. So the nose would be somewhere around here. And then we would have the little mouth. Like that. I can even add a bit of the cheeks over here, since those details are very fine. And then we move on to the nose. For the nose, I'm going to use number 23, which is the pinkest color. So let's color this in. and then a little bit below for the mouth. And now let's do the eyes. So it needs some black, so that would be, in this case, number 24, the darkest we have. So if you don't feel comfortable doing this with the paintbrush and the paint, you can also use a marker if you'd like. So we'll do one with the paintbrush and see how that works. Basically, it's kind of just like a crescent sort of thing, just to define it, and do the same thing on the other side. And finally, we make a white dot. So the white dot would be 21, the lightest. You have to make sure that your brush is not wet, as the water sometimes has a tendency of sliding down the tip of the bristles, and then it will go onto the paint, and that will affect how you apply the paint. So we just dab a dot in the middle like that, and then do the same thing on the other side. There you go. To further the detail, you can also add just a little bit of these sections which kind of disappeared. That's to define the paws. So let's continue that with code 10, which is what these colors are, and let's just continue that. Kind of draw in a paw. As you can see, I'm just making those half circles. And so now the paw is more defined. So that's one way to be able to add more detail to your paint art once it is complete. So here is the work in progress for STE-ANNE Mermaid's Art Nouveau I. We've got almost every single section completed except for her face, which I'm leaving for last. I've done about 6 hours today of painting. So if I'd like to add more details to her eyes and to her nose, I'm just going to make a few tweaks and comparing it to the image that was painted by STE-ANNE. So I'm going to use a little bit of the brown, this color and this color, to add to this portion of her eye. So let's do that now. Just to make this a little bit rounder. And then we'll use some number 4. something like that. Add a little bit of this for the bottom part of her eyes. Some eyelashes. And on this other side, we are going to add some brown as well. Just in the middle. And then we're going to add some eyelashes. So I'm just going to make some sweeping lines moving up. Like that, and do the same thing on the other side. Just to give it more detail. And then she does have that line, so we're going to create that line right now. Let's use number 5 for that line. Once again, this is optional. I mean, without doing this, your painting is fine. Remember, this is just a close copy of the original artwork by the artist. But if you'd like to make it look as close as possible to the original painting, you can do what I'm doing right now and basically just add some touches to give it more definition. So right now it's like I'm putting eyeliner on the mermaid, just using very fine brush strokes. So we're defining her eyes right now, as you can see. And now we can add some eyelashes. Just make sure your brush is very fine and there's no excess water, and make sure strokes. There you go. So we've got her eyes. If we look closely at that, this is what it looks like. So we've got the definition on the eyes. Now let's say we want to define the mouth a little bit more. So let's use same color, number 5, and just give it a bit more definition. You're creating that line. And then we'd like to add a bit more of a pink hue. So let's use this color. Maybe a bit of the number 3 to add some fullness to the lips. And then we go back with number 4 to define the lips. Then let's just give her more of a jawline here. So let's choose number 5 and just give a bit of a jawline. So we can soften that with a bit of number 3. Just to soften it a bit. And there you have it. I really don't want to do too much because I don't want it to look unnatural, but that's pretty much what we have for St. Anne Mermaid, and it's finished.